Before dawn, the sound of stone tools striking wood echoes across the plain. Thick beams lie on the ground, their surfaces rough, freshly cut, still smelling of resin and sap. Men pull ropes made of twisted fibers, their feet sinking into packed earth. Others lift timbers with slow, practiced movements. Before them rises a structure unlike anything the ancient world has ever seen. Vast, silent, unfinished. This is not a vision, it is labor. Day after day, year after year, wood is shaped, fitted and raised by human hands. No iron machines, no measured blueprints drawn on paper, only memory, repetition and obedience. The ark does not emerge suddenly. It grows gradually, becoming part of the landscape, casting a longer shadow with every passing season. But how was such a vessel built in a world of stone tools and animal strength? What knowledge, what organization, what patience made this possible? And what did it mean, in an age untouched by storms and floods, to construct a structure meant to carry life through water? To understand the ark, we must step fully into the ancient world that shaped it, into its materials, its rhythms, its limitations, and its faith. Only then can we see the ark not as a symbol, but as a real structure raised in real time by real people. Welcome to Legacy of the Scriptures. If this kind of biblical history matters to you, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. It helps keep these stories alive. The structure is already rising when the day begins. Long beams lie aligned on the ground, some newly shaped, others darkened by months of sun and wind. The smell of cut wood lingers in the air, mixing with dust and sweat. Hands move with repetition. Ropes tighten. Timber is lifted, lowered, adjusted. The work does not rush. It follows a rhythm learned through years of effort. Noah stands among the beams, older now than when the work first began. His hands are thickened from labor, his posture shaped by years of lifting and guiding. He does not stand apart from the work. He measures with his eyes, steps forward to correct an angle, presses a beam into place alongside the others. The ark grows not by command alone, but by presence. There are no markings drawn on parchment, no written plans laid out before the workers. Knowledge lives in memory and repetition. Each section mirrors the last. Lengths are counted by steps. Angles are judged by sight and experience. What has already been built becomes the guide for what comes next. The structure teaches its own continuation. The wood comes from nearby hills and valleys. Trees are cut with stone blades and bronze-edged tools. Trunks are dragged by rope and animal strength, their weight carving shallow paths into the earth. Smaller pieces are carried on shoulders. Larger beams require many hands, moving slowly, resting often, advancing only as strength allows. Time is not measured in days, but in seasons. As the ark rises, it begins to dominate the land around it. From a distance, its shape interrupts the horizon. It is not sleek or refined. It is massive, deliberate, built for endurance rather than beauty. Its sides climb steadily upward, plank by plank, beam by beam. The sound of wood against wood becomes familiar, as constant as the wind. Those who pass nearby slow their steps. Some watch briefly, then continue on. Others stop longer, counting the height with their eyes, trying to understand its purpose. The structure offers no explanation. It stands unfinished for years, changing slowly, never enough to satisfy curiosity, never enough to disappear into normality. Life continues around the work. Food is prepared, tools are repaired, worn ropes are replaced, children grow taller, hair grays. The ark absorbs time without comment. What began as a task becomes a way of life, woven into daily routine. The work does not pause for explanation. It continues because it must. Noah returns to the structure again and again, walking its length, running his hand along the grain of the wood. He knows its proportions by heart. Each section reflects an instruction given long ago, carried forward through patience rather than urgency. The ark is not built for spectacle. It is built to endure. As the sun lowers, shadows stretch across the ground, lengthening the shape of the vessel. The work slows, then stops. Tools are set aside. The ark remains silent and unfinished, waiting for the next day, the next season, the next year. It is already clear that this is no ordinary construction. Whatever its purpose, it demands more than strength. It demands time, obedience, and a willingness to build without explanation in a world that has never needed such a thing before. Long before the ark took shape, the world around Noah already knew how to build slowly. Villages were not raised in weeks, but across generations. Walls were repaired rather than replaced. Tools were handed down, their handles worn smooth by many hands. Knowledge did not travel quickly, but it endured. Wood was the most trusted material of the age. It framed homes, supported roofs, formed doors, carts, storage chests, and boats that moved along rivers and coasts. Those who worked with wood understood its character. They knew which trees bent without breaking, which resisted rot, which split cleanly under the blade. Each forest offered different strengths, and experience guided every choice. The tools were simple but familiar. Stone adzes shaped rough surfaces. Bronze blades refined edges. Wooden mallets drove pegs into place. There were no nails as later ages would know them. Instead, joints were cut carefully, fitted tightly, secured with wooden pins and bindings of fiber. A structure held together not by speed, but by precision, repeated again and again. Moving heavy materials required patience more than power. Logs were rolled, levered, dragged across earth prepared in advance. Paths were cleared. Ground was packed firm. Animals were yoked when possible, but much depended on human coordination. Groups learned to move together, to lift on signal, to rest without losing alignment. Strength was communal, or it failed. Time itself functioned differently. There was no urgency driven by clocks or deadlines. Seasons governed effort. Certain tasks waited for dry weather. Others depended on cooler days. When work paused, it did not mean abandonment. It meant waiting. Waiting was not wasted time. It was part of the process. The ark demanded this ancient patience in full measure. Its size alone required repetition beyond normal building. What worked once had to work hundreds of times. Every beam set in place taught how the next would follow. Mistakes were costly, so progress was deliberate. Each correction became part of the memory carried forward. Noah worked within these limits, not against them. He did not invent a new world to build the ark. He used the one he knew. Skills already present were stretched, extended, asked to endure longer than usual, but never replaced. The ark rose from familiar practices applied with uncommon persistence. As years passed, the structure became a reference point for the land itself. Travelers adjusted their routes by it. Fields were worked in its shadow. Children who once ran between scattered beams grew into adults who now carried them. The ark marked time not by dates, but by visible change. There was no moment when the work suddenly felt complete. Instead, there was a gradual narrowing of tasks. Fewer beams left to place, more attention to sealing, reinforcing, enclosing. Open spaces became enclosed ones. Light entered differently. The interior grew darker, more defined, more purposeful. All of this unfolded without spectacle. No announcements marked progress. No explanations softened its strangeness. The ark stood as evidence of sustained intention in a world accustomed to practical necessity. It was larger than any single need, yet built entirely through ordinary means. By the time its form neared completion, it was no longer possible to imagine the land without it. The ark had become part of the world, even if its purpose remained unclear. What had once seemed impossible now stood solid and real, shaped by time, labor, and obedience carried forward without interruption. As the ark continues to rise, life does not pause around it. The days unfold with the same necessities they always have. Food must be gathered, grain ground, water drawn. Tools dull and require sharpening. Clothing wears thin and must be repaired. The work of living presses on, even as the great structure slowly reshapes the land. The ark becomes a fixed presence, no longer new, yet never ordinary. Its shadow shifts with the sun. In the early morning, It stretches long across the ground. By midday, it stands almost directly beneath the light. In the evening, it darkens the earth again, marking the close of another day of labor. Time is visible here, measured in wood and shadow. Noah moves between tasks with the steadiness of routine. Some days are spent entirely on the structure. Other days are divided between building and the demands of household life. There is no separation between sacred work and ordinary work. All of it requires attention. All of it requires endurance. Those closest to him grow accustomed to the presence of the ark. Children pass between its supports. Supplies are stacked against its lower beams. The unfinished vessel shelters tools from sudden weather. What once seemed strange slowly weaves itself into daily patterns. Familiarity does not erase its scale, but it dulls the shock of it. Beyond the immediate circle, the ark continues to draw quiet attention. Travelers slow their pace. Herds are guided a little farther away. Conversations pause as eyes lift toward the rising walls. Questions form but find no answers. The structure explains nothing. It only stands. There are seasons when progress slows. Rains soften the ground. Heat drains strength more quickly. Illness passes through households. During these times, the ark waits. It does not demand haste. Its size allows no shortcuts. Each pause becomes part of the long obedience required to bring it into being. As years pass, Noah's body changes. His movements grow more deliberate. His hair lightens. His hands stiffen in the cold, yet his presence remains constant. He walks the length of the structure as he always has, testing its firmness, listening to the sound of wood under his weight. The ark bears the marks of his patience as clearly as it bears the marks of tools. The world beyond continues as it always has. Fields are planted and harvested. Paths shift. New shelters rise, and old ones are abandoned. The ark alone moves against this rhythm, growing steadily while everything else cycles and returns. It points towards something not yet seen. There is no moment when doubt is openly argued. There are no speeches, no defenses offered. The work itself becomes the answer. Beam after beam, year after year, the ark declares a resolve that does not depend on approval. It exists because it is being built. Inside the structure, the space begins to feel different. Light enters through fewer openings. Sounds change, softened by wood and enclosure. The interior grows more defined, more intentional. It is no longer only a framework. It is becoming a vessel. By now, the ark has shaped more than the land. It has shaped the lives of those bound to its making. Days are organized around it. Strength is spent on it. Hope is carried forward through it. Whatever lies ahead, it is clear that this work has already altered the course of those who have given their lives to it. The ark stands unfinished, yet unmistakably real, waiting for the purpose it was made to fulfill. The work enters its final phase quietly. There is no announcement, no clear moment when the ark is declared nearly complete. Instead, the nature of the labor changes. Fewer beams are lifted. More time is spent fitting, sealing, reinforcing. Attention turns inward. Open spaces narrow. Gaps between planks are closed with care. Fibers are pressed into seams. Dark resin is heated and spread, filling every place where water might one day find a path. Hands move slower now, not from weakness alone, but from caution. What is finished must hold. Inside the ark, the air grows heavier. Light enters through fewer openings. Sound changes, softened by layers of wood. Footsteps echo differently. The interior no longer feels like a framework. It feels enclosed, purposeful. Divisions are set in place, creating levels and compartments. Space is measured not for comfort, but for order. Noah spends long hours within the structure. He walks its length, climbs between levels, pauses in the dimness. His hand rests against the walls as if testing their resolve. Every surface carries memory, the weight of beams once lifted, the strain of joints forced into place, the patience required to correct what did not align. Outside, the ark's silhouette no longer changes dramatically from one season to the next. Its form is now familiar, almost complete. Those who pass by no longer slow as often. The strangeness has settled into the background of daily life. Yet something about the structure now feels closed, resolved, as if it has turned inward upon itself. The final tasks are the most exacting. Doors must fit without warping. Openings must align precisely. What once could be adjusted later now must be right. Errors at this stage would endure. Every choice carries weight. As the last surfaces are sealed, the ark ceases to be a project and becomes a vessel. It is no longer defined by what remains to be built, but by what it is prepared to contain. The wood darkens with age and treatment. The smell of resin lingers, thick and sharp. When the day's work ends, the ark stands whole for the first time. Not complete in purpose, but complete in form. It waits, closed and silent, holding within it the space for what is yet to come. Nothing more can be added. Nothing essential remains undone. The labor of years has reached its limit. What follows now lies beyond construction. The land does not change all at once. The sky remains familiar. The air feels no different at first. Yet movement begins to gather at the edges of the world Noah knows. Animals appear without urgency. They come in pairs, not driven, not forced. Their steps are steady, deliberate. Paths long used by herds now bend toward the ark. Creatures that rarely draw near to human dwellings approach without fear. Their presence alters the silence. Noah watches as the ground around the ark fills with life. Hooves press into the soil. Wings fold and settle. Breath clouds the air in the cool hours. There is no chaos, no confusion. Each pair finds its place, guided by a pattern not spoken aloud. The ark, long empty within, receives them. The great door stands open. Shadows move across its threshold as animals pass inside. The interior that once echoed with the sound of tools now holds living weight. Wood creaks under new pressure, bearing it without complaint. Time slows. Each entry is unhurried. Noah moves among them with calm attention, guiding where needed, standing back when not. The work now is not of building, but of order. Space prepared long ago begins to fulfill its purpose. From outside, the ark looks unchanged. Its massive form remains still, unmoved by what it contains. Only the sounds within reveal the shift. Breathing, movement, the quiet presence of many lives enclosed together. As the last animals enter, the door remains open for a time. The world beyond continues as it always has. Wind moves through grass. Light falls across the land. Nothing yet suggests the separation that is about to take place. Then the moment arrives without ceremony. The opening is closed. The barrier between inside and outside is sealed. Wood meets wood. What has been built now stands between two futures. Noah remains within the ark, surrounded by the living result of years of obedience. The structure no longer belongs to the land. It has become something set apart, prepared for what the world has never known. Outside, silence returns. The ark stands complete, not as a monument, but as a refuge. Everything necessary has been done. What follows is no longer shaped by human hands. The waiting is over. The purpose has begun. The ark stands sealed, resting in silence. What once was a labor of wood and rope has become a boundary between what was and what is about to be. No more beams will be lifted. No tools will strike wood again. The work that could be done by human hands has reached its end. For years, the ark rose slowly from the earth, shaped by patience rather than urgency. It demanded endurance, repetition, and trust in a purpose not yet visible. Nothing about it was sudden. Nothing about it was symbolic alone. It was real, heavy, measured, and costly. It required a life given over to a task whose meaning would only be understood later. In the ancient world, faith was not expressed through words alone. It was carried in routine, in consistency, in the willingness to continue when no explanation softened the effort. The ark bears witness to that kind of faith. Not dramatic, not hurried, but steady, embodied, and complete. When the door closed, the story of construction ended. What followed belonged to forces beyond human control. Yet everything that could be prepared had already been prepared. Space had been made. Order had been established. Life had been gathered and sheltered within walls shaped long before they were needed. Understanding how the Ark was built allows us to see it not as a distant myth, but as a structure rooted in time, labor, and obedience. It brings the story closer to the earth, closer to the hands that shaped it, and closer to the lives it was meant to preserve. Thank you for spending this time exploring the ancient world through this story. If this kind of biblical history deepens your understanding, consider subscribing to the channel. Leave a like if this journey helped you see the story differently, and share in the comments what part of the Ark story stayed with you the most. Welcome to Legacy of the Scriptures.